Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is for you. We are so glad you have chosen to be with us on this fine Saturday. We are the Investing Bros, and we got a lot to talk about today. As the title would suggest, we're going to be talking about portfolios. Yes, we're going to do some TA, but there's not a whole heck of a lot of news. We're going to be talking about portfolios, answering your guys' questions. I'm going to show you guys what I'm looking at for my portfolio for the bull market. I'm going to get a take from others as well, and I want to hear what you guys think. Really quickly, before we jump in, I don't know if everyone has heard about this, but thoughts and prayers right now with the entire country of Israel. Of course, last night or early this morning, I'm not exactly sure what the timeline was. A huge attack from Hamas that came out of nowhere, and it's a very sophisticated attack that is just very surprising. We will talk a little bit about that today, probably not a whole lot. I want to find out more before I give too many takes on it, but what I do know and what I'll always stand for is life, and whenever life is lost, that is a very grievous thing, and my heart breaks for all the people in Israel today. I'm praying for you. My thoughts are with you, and I'm so sorry this is happening. But it is Saturday, guys. We're going to have some fun today. I'm going to introduce my co-host starting off. I got T. Shroom with me. T. Shroom, how are you feeling this morning?
Well, Tim, I'm feeling a little more zoomed in than I deserve.
Yeah, your forehead is gone.
I don't know. What the heck?
Oh, I was hoping maybe you would zoom out and then like hair transplant would be up in there.
Yeah, my gifts. My NFTs are, they were a little timid, a little scared. But I do have a quote of the day here for us.
Yeah.
And we're not getting away from the Stoics. Guys, I genuinely think that we could probably just do the rest of this show for the next 3 years and never leave Stoic quotes. Here it is. The day a man becomes superior to pleasure, he will also be superior to pain. And there's Piper. Let's go ahead.
And you ruined the surprise.
Piper.
Guys, we are also joined by Piper today, coming on the show. And he's going to definitely be able to answer more questions. We'll probably hold the Israel stuff towards the second half of the show. So first half of the show, we're going to talk TA, we're going to talk portfolio. And then second half, we'll do Q&A, and we'll probably talk Israel. Piper probably has a better take and understanding what's happening than anyone else in here. But Piper, before we get there, how are you doing, my friend? The owner of the newest and grandest channel on crypto YouTube, live every single weekday morning at 9:30, the Piper Academy. How you feeling, Piper?
I'm feeling pretty good, man. I can't complain. I had a late night last night. I was up late. I have to testify.
Okay.
I was up until 2 a.m. my time this morning.
Wow.
So it was about 4 a.m. your time when I went to bed.
Goodness gracious. Okay. Well, that's not fun. Any
Do you
particular
not want to know
reason?
what I was doing?
I was going to say, what's the particular reason as to what kept you up so late?
I was playing Baldur's Gate 3 with my son. So
That makes sense, yeah.
Did
You guys listen.
did you
Piper
see
might
that,
be. Hold on. Piper might be a retired military vet, and we are very appreciative of him. But at heart, we are talking to a 12-year-old boy who stays up way past his bedtime playing video games, and you love it.
Yes.
Never listen.
Yes.
You might grow old in age, but you can't grow old in your brain if you don't allow it to. Be more like Piper. Sorry, T-shirt. Didn't mean to cut you off. What were you
Well, I was going to say I did the exact same thing. I stayed up and played Age
Yeah.
of Empires till like 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
And I was dominating some really high ranks. And then I got crushed by like a level 19, which is like a pretty low level compared to like me.
Okay.
And I got crushed because I got overly arrogant or
You know,
overly confident.
I think this makes me the old man in the room. I think the last time I did not go to bed before 10 p.m. was a while ago. Now, sometimes I can't fall asleep, but I definitely have a bedtime.
Yeah,
I
Piper,
stick to.
is your mic the mic that you want on?
Yeah, it was a little fuzzy.
Yeah, but
let me
we weren't the
check.
only ones, Tim. Elon Musk was up pretty late last night too, playing Diablo 4 live on
Was
Twitter.
he really?
Yeah, and
He
I
was.
tuned in. He was like, he was talking a lot, but he was saying a bunch of really interesting and funny stuff. But I
Yeah.
kind of had an original thought, which is like, I feel like there might be an uprising in certain communities of like fighting for your right to game. I'm not really sure, but I think that people get so busy that they don't have time to like pursue their hobbies and pleasure. Maybe you can't relate to this if you're watching and you have like a more of a 9-to-5 job, but if you're an entrepreneur and you're trying to put together, or you're like a content creator, you're trying to put together a brand and a business, sometimes you just don't have any time for recreation.
It's true.
But but you got to fight for your right to game.
You have to fight for your right.
And if you're
to
somebody
party.
like Elon Musk, do you think he has a lot of extra time? No, but he still gets his
A little
gaming in.
bit. I did read somewhere Piper, Elon. Oh, I don't know why I just confused Piper with Elon. Elon, I think he only sleeps 4 hours a night anyway.
Oh, really?
I think I read somewhere that he sleeps for 4 hours a night. He just can't sleep any longer than that. He has too much stuff to do. So, it's crazy. Here's what we're gonna do. We're about to jump in here because again, the first half hour. Oh, look, special angler Piper. We're gonna jump in with the first half hour. We're gonna do some charts. We're gonna talk portfolios. But here's what I want you guys to do in chat. We're gonna kind of give you a little bit of time. There's a little bit of a delay, so I want you to vote. Do you want to do charts first, or do you want to do portfolio first? And give you guys about 30 seconds to type in your vote. And the more comments that I see saying one or the other, we'll do that. So I wanted this morning, Piper and T-Shirt, put together my list of what my portfolio is going to look like. Have you guys thought a lot about what your portfolio looks like in the bull market, or are you not quite there yet?
Now, Tim, I have a pretty extensive portfolio already, and I think you do too. Do you mean like what we're going to reposition for the bull market?
Yeah. Okay. So like right now, just transparency, I only have like 5 coins. So my portfolio at the moment consists of 5 coins.
Yeah.
What I'm about to show you guys here in just a little bit is going to be what my portfolio looks like going into probably what I'm going to formulate here in about a month or two. I've changed my mind. When we get into charts, I know I've told you guys that I thought the bottom of this pullback was going to be late October. What I'm looking at, I'm pushing my dates back a little bit to where I want to buy, where I think the dip's going to come in. But I'm going to start looking to accumulate that stuff around that time. Some of it will continue to grow as the bull market goes on. It won't be an overnight shift. It might go from 5 coins to like 30. But it is the plan here very, very soon, within the next 2 or 3 months, to start getting spread out across the crypto landscape. I'm seeing portfolio. In fact, I'm not even necessarily seeing. Ada A says chart. So Ada votes chart, and guess what? We will get there, Ada. And you know what? You know what's not on my portfolio? It could fit in there, but I did not put WMT on my portfolio. Maybe it's something I should have. Let's go ahead and go over to my screen here, and we're gonna break down what I'm looking at here. Now, you guys know I am a more conservative investor. You're going to find people with way riskier portfolios. But even as I put this together, this to me is still a little risky. I've seen people with way, way more conservative portfolios. I broke it down into 4 different camps. The big 4, Bitcoin, Cardano, XRP, and Ethereum. I classify those as the big 4. Not that I think they're going to have the best bull markets, but to me, they're the 4 most trustable portfolio, the coins to be holding in this next bull market. Then I have top 20 coins that I think these are going to do really, really well, and I think they're safer bets. You know, the lower you go down, the riskier you get. So I have my big 4, then my top coins that consist in the top 20 that I like. There's of course other coins in the top 20 I'm not investing in because I personally just don't want to invest in them. Then I have a couple that are within the top 100. I did slip Kaspa into my top 100 coins because I do believe Kaspa will get there. So it got a special little boost in the rankings today.
Why?
And then I got
really quick, Tim, on Kaspa.
Yeah. Why Kaspa? Why? Because Kaspa is going to be, I think, when on the mining front, is going to be something that I think a lot of people get into mining that has heavy profitability, especially as it's going to get harder to make money in coins like Bitcoin. In the mining process, look for people to start spreading out to some other miners. Kaspa's got some very interesting stuff happening that I think it could be one of the ones that a lot of miners kind of shift over to. Yeah. And because Archie likes it a lot, and I like Archie. Is one of the reasons.
I think so. I picked some up on Uphold. Yeah. The wallet. It's the only wallet I use. I mean, it's the only coin I have on that wallet because I had to get Uphold just to buy Kaspa. It's kind of hard to get. Anyway, so yeah, but I've done a ton of research on Kaspa, and it has a ton of potential people don't realize. But there's always the chance that they can't communicate that value. But so far, I'm seeing every indication that they will be able to. The team and the community will be able to. But I think that would be its shortcoming. Is the same thing that happened to Kadena. Is that it just can't. It doesn't have the follow through. It has the great tokenomics and a great unique value proposition, but it just can't follow through. It can't make it happen because it's too similar to Bitcoin, I guess.
Yeah.
But
Listen, we got a lot of opinionated people here in chat, and I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
We have some in here that I'm going to kind of cover. Let's go down and kind of break this down. Some people are disagreeing. First of all, I want everyone to know this is not where I expect to get the most gains in this top 4. Rather, this is a long term. This is where I feel the safest having a large sum of value in. 60% of my portfolio, I'm going to leave in the top 4. Why? Because I'm very conservative. Yes, I know if I were to spread this and put more percentage into some of the lower coins, the truth is, people that go crazy on small caps, they're going to make a lot of money. Now, they're going to lose a lot of money too, because not every single small cap is going to make it out there. But yeah, the best place. Oh, I misspelled judgment. Boom. The best place to make many, many gains is going to be in small cap coins. I've seen some other people putting some other coins in here. The truth is, it's not that I have a problem with the ones that you guys are saying you want to put in there. It's just that in the research that I've done, I feel comfortable with the coins I have listed here. Some others, again, WMT, that one maybe should make its way in here. Let's see who else. XLM. XLM could make a good argument to be in here as kind of a diversity pick from XRP. I don't have it here. I went ahead and left that one off. I think XRP is going to kind of run away with that field. But anyone who puts XLM in their portfolio, not a problem. Render, Nikki B. Yeah, no, Render's fine. I didn't put it in this list because I haven't done a lot of crazy research on it, but Render could squeak its way in. But what I'm having here, guys, Bitcoin, honestly, the fact that I have Bitcoin down to 25%, I think is a win for people who have riskier portfolios. I've seen many people putting Bitcoin closer to 40 to 50% of their portfolio for safety. There is going to be a massive excitement about Bitcoin in this bull market when it comes to institutional adoption with these new ETFs. And again, you guys know, my opinion is the ETFs launching will not really do that much for price, but long-term, more and more exposure, I think Bitcoin is going to do very, very well. And while I think that Bitcoin's only going to get between 100 and 150,000, there's always a chance, guys. You got to remember about with how much people are valuing Bitcoin and the eyes are waking up. Like yesterday, different Brocam. Yesterday, we talked about Joe Rogan. Now, he was very wrong in his take, but Joe Rogan, speaking to his millions of listeners, saying that Bitcoin is very interesting as a potential to be the world currency that overtakes fiat currency. He's wrong. That's not going to happen. But we're seeing intelligent people waking up to crypto, and the first thing they're setting their eyes on is Bitcoin. So to not have Bitcoin as one of your top holders, you make the decision for yourself. I'm not here to give you financial advice, but in my opinion, for my portfolio, it would be a mistake not to have a hefty amount of Bitcoin. You can go back to my screen here, T-Shirt.
Of course.
ADA. This is where people are probably going to have the biggest problem with my portfolio, and that's completely fine. I have ADA and XRP as greater holdings than Ethereum. Not that I don't believe in Ethereum, but first of all, I think XRP and ADA are definitely going to have bigger gains than Ethereum anyway. And with Ethereum, I'm kind of worried. I like it. It's still secure, but I did not like some of the stuff we talked about the other day in the bro time, where Ethereum's having a problem. Even Vitalik Buterin is aware that his lack of decentralization is a problem, and he wants to make moves to get back to being decentralized, which is fine. Here's the problem. To make something that is centralized be decentralized, you have to take a massive amount of centralization to get that to accomplish. So Ethereum's got some problems they got to fix. And for me, I'm going to say I want a bigger bag of Cardano and XRP than Ethereum. Now, it's still my fourth highest holding, but it's going to stay in that fourth slot. Some people might disagree with that, and that's completely okay. Some people are asking why no graph. You could throw graph in here. I didn't, and maybe I'll change my mind on that. This isn't like my set in stone. I have to keep it right here, but that's a good thought. Someone else asked earlier, why BNB? I'll tell you why BNB. Now, it's a smaller holding, only 3%. But we talked about this about a month and a half ago, T-Shroom, in one of our in one of our X spaces. BNB has been suppressed for a very long time now. BNB has had FUD after FUD after FUD come. You have chart people kind of saying, look at the trajectory it's going. It's going to crash. It's going to crash. It's going to crash. And yet it hasn't. All right. T-Shroom or Piper, tell me another coin that had a lot of FUD that people were convinced it was going to zero and has had a massive bounce back and now is a coin that a lot of people are excited about.
Go ahead, Piper.
Well, first off, is my mic better?
Yes.
Yes, better.
Okay. Secondly, I don't know. There's been quite a few that I think
XRP.
that's happened to, but Solana. Okay, yeah,
Solana.
absolutely,
Guys,
absolutely. It
I was
almost
in
it
that
almost
camp.
did go to zero.
I was in that camp as well. I thought that Solana was going to die. And look at this. We're on the daily chart. After the FTX debacle, it came down. Now, I did talk about $8 being a heavy level of support on the Paul Barron show, and ended up being 100% correct. But I thought we were going to get a small bounce at $8 and then continue to crash to zero. Solana surviving the FUD that was FTX and now making big moves. Recently was voted as the most enjoyed or liked coin project in that temporary small time frame with the development that was happening. Solana's making a comeback, guys. Solana's going to be pushing the upside because it avoided all of the FUD. Guys, another coin that is currently doing that is BNB. So when you ask why BNB, it's because if BNB was going to die, it would have died by now. But they continue time after time after time to go past the FUD, to break through it. And I think that BNB, again, not that I'm saying it's going to have a for sure 20x, but any coin that's being suppressed the way it's being suppressed, when they win their defense, when the SEC has to give up the witch hunt to take out Binance, BNB token could have a nice little explosion. I don't see Binance going anywhere. I think BNB could have a really nice bull market. But again, I'm leaving it only 3%, not giving it a very large list of my portfolio. So that's what that is. Top 100 coins. This is really where, a lot of people are saying, why not this one or why not that one? Or this could all change. These are the ones I feel comfortable with: HBAR, Atom, VeChain, ARB, Quant, Sand, Gala, and Kaspa. And Kaspa's not even a top 100 coin.
Arbitrum.
I'm
Get rid of Gala.
I'm get rid of Gala. I still think maybe Gala's when you exchange, but the more recent stuff that I've done, I think that Gala could have a decent little pushback. I think it can. I think I'm bigger on Sand in that world of gaming with those top 100 tokens. I'm bigger on Sand. I think Sand will do better, but that is kind of a
Nakamoto
diverse
Games
pick. Nakamoto Games. All right. Well, again,
that would be.
I'm not as married to this list down here. And then this is my gamble, my 5%. And I do think that people, again, non-financial advice, but I do think you should go to small caps. When I'm saying small caps, I mean coins with a current portfolio of less than $100 million, a current market cap. And honestly, I am a big fan of people continuing to do their own research. Do your own research. I myself love, and I see Crypto Seth is in here. Shout out to Crypto Seth. Shout out to Crypto Archie. These are guys just smashing it right now. I see them as the top minds in the small cap game right now. I'm probably going to I want to learn as I go, but hey, Archie, Seth, what are you guys thinking? What should I be investing in with this very small percentage of my portfolio? What are the coins that you guys think will 100x, 200x maybe? If I lose it, it's fine, guys. It's just 5%. If all of the picks go to zero, I will be completely fine because it's only 5% of my portfolio, and I'll make a lot of gains on these other coins up here. But this is going to be my risk, and I don't want to risk more than 5%, but that's where it's going to be. That is my portfolio. Mm-hmm. Rate it in chat. Give me a rating from 1 to 100. 100 being you think that this is the most perfect portfolio you've ever seen. 1 being this is the worst portfolio you've ever seen, and then find your way in the middle. Eric Wallen, yeah, I think I started the whole thing by saying WMT did not make my list, and that was a mistake. I probably would put WMT as another Kaspa, honestly. Where even you guys have convinced me. Let's do this. Let's make WMT sneak in here. Let's get rid of Gala. I wasn't too married to it anyway, but I'm not necessarily bearish on Gala, but I'll concede on that one since I'm hearing smarter people say get that out of the portfolio. We'll move WMT into that list. A to Ace, I just put one. I just put a layer 2 Cardano. All right, Mark Harris, you're a harsh critic. Well, thank you guys. Thank you. Before we move on, T-Shroom Piper, what are your guys' thoughts about my portfolio? What do you think? What are some of the biggest changes you would make?
I think it's pretty good. That's not a bad. You're not going to do horrible at all. You're going to do really well with this, I think. However, I am more bullish officially on XLM than I am on XRP for this next cycle. Still bullish on XRP. I think that XLM is actually going to run hard. So
Interesting. Yeah, well, we'll have to wait. XLM might make its way. Maybe I'll put XLM. It's going to be a top 20 coin. Maybe it'll sneak its way in here. Ton's one that I'm interested in. This Ton coin made it slip in mostly because I need to learn more about it. Of course, it has that relationship with
Telegram.
Telegram. That's honestly the reason Ton is in here and I gave it 1% is because I'm like, listen, well, I need to learn more about Ton. That partnership with Telegram. Telegram is one of the most used apps worldwide for communication. That's pretty huge. Pretty huge. Of course, Dogecoin, maybe I'd give a little bit of Dogecoin to an XLM or something because this is mostly just me saying you don't bet against Elon and Elon likes Dogecoin. So,
Doge is absolutely going to be in my portfolio.
It actually just kind of clicked for me. Is like Toncoin is to Telegram what Dogecoin is going to be to X if everything goes smoothly and according to plan. I don't think that it's like certain that Dogecoin is going to underpin the X ecosystem and the financial ecosystem that they're going to make for legal reasons. But I think that it has a better chance than any other existing coin. I think the only one that would replace Doge is a coin that doesn't yet exist, or maybe some kind of institutional coin that nobody really knows about too much. But my Piper, did you have more takes on his portfolio? And then I'll give my take.
Yeah,
and then I'll roast.
I would definitely and apologies to our WMT fans out there. I know it's done good recently. However, I would absolutely have WMT swapped out with Algo, man.
Algo.
I would have some Algo in there.
Man, so here's the thing. Algo, I don't trust Algo. I don't trust it because they say they're doing things and then they don't. And I've been involved with communication with their team, and they'll not me, but I know somebody who's involved with their team and talking about it, and they'll defend it till they're blue in the face. But I watched them trying to reach out for answers, and the team of Algo had no answers. But after 2 weeks, miraculously, they all of a sudden had answers. I don't know if the infrastructure at all. I'm really not trying to poop on them. Also, listen, if you want to invest in Algo, do it. I'm saying personally, my experience with them and kind of having somewhat of an inside look as to operations, unless they fix a lot, I'm concerned about Algo.
Yeah.
I'm concerned about the team.
Yeah, and Seth dropped a whole list of things in there, broke down by type in the list. So in the chat here, so we need to go back later and try to pull all of these into one consolidated list from Seth.
Yes.
I think the other thing in T-Shim you're about to give your take to. I think what people also need to understand, because I've seen people say, "Oh, no layer 3, no layer 4." You cannot have every single coin. If you put every single coin that is out there in crypto in your portfolio, you are just going to get lost, confused. I am also a big fan of trying to do all of this with as few exchanges and wallets as possible. I've known people in the last bull market that probably made millions of dollars and cannot locate it because they lost access to exchanges. Those exchanges got hacked. They didn't know what to change. Then they put money in wallets and they have like 17 cold wallets spread out throughout their house. And then they confuse which keys go to which wallet and then they lose. I'm a big fan of, listen, this is a spread out chart for me. This is a spread out portfolio for me. Keep it consolidated somehow, though. Try to do this in minimal amount of exchanges, minimal amount of cold wallets, and you're going to be successful. But anyone can do whatever they want to do with their portfolio. T-Shroom, last take you have here, and then we're going to do some charts and then get them some Q&A.
No, I think I would say HBAR. I have a much bigger HBAR percentage holding than you do.
Okay. Yep.
I think you've made the trade for sorry, I had to sneeze. You've made the trade for like a BNB and Sol. I don't hold either of those in a significant amount, and I have zero Sol, Solana. But HBAR is a pretty significant holding. I think that's probably worth bumping up. Just after the research that I've done on them, it's like, man, they just have such a solid partnership section. Like there isn't a better partnership section other than Ethereum. Than HBAR. HBAR they just smash it out of the park. They hyper focused on partnerships, and they already have that unique factor of the hash graph that's proprietary. It's not the most like crypto purist project at all, but I think that they could. They're going to give the ISO 2022 game a run for its money, and do pretty well there, I think. So that's the main one. I have a lot of Atom as well. I think that's kind of lower on your chart.
That's a coin again. So there's lots of coins that I'm going to allocate around 1% or maybe even less to in it. And again, it's not an insult on those ones, and those might be coins that you do see the 30x's. Maybe you see some great returns. Just you guys remember, like you have to remember, every single person is different. Conservative is my kind of mantra about my investments. That's why, while a lot of this stuff probably is movable, this lower stuff is movable, I might change up. This to me is pretty locked in, right? My 60% being involved in these top 10, that to me is a security move. These are ones I heavily believe in, know a lot about, heavily trust the teams involved with them.
Yeah.
I know Piper, I'm interested to hear more of an argument as to why XLM could outgain XRP, but I still think XRP is a very secure. I think a lot of business in that realm.
Oh yeah, don't
XRP. So
don't get it twisted on me, Tim.
Yeah.
I'm still very bullish on XRP. I would just have XLM in there with it.
Yeah.
So
and the one that's sneaking. This is the one, because even on the XLM front, I know we said we're gonna do some charts. We're gonna do some charts here. We won't have a lot of time to do charts, but we're gonna do some charts and then Q&A charts. Link is one that's Link to me is like that outside fifth trustable coin. I think that Chainlink could be pretty special, not just in price action, but moving forward to how the world works. The truth is, XRP is not just competing with XLM. There's some things that I think Link is going to be able to accomplish that might take a little bit of steam away from XRP. Not going to kill it or crush it or anything, but Chainlink, banks are looking at Chainlink heavily for a lot of different things as well. So that I almost had a big 5 throwing Chainlink up there as well, but I went ahead and left it as my number 1 top 7 or a top 20 coin. But yeah, that is this portfolio. I will probably publish and update this list in our Discord. So if you guys want to go over there, join our free Discord, vote on just come consider, look at it, give it some consideration, give me some feedback, tell me what you would do differently, maybe utilize this to even, because this is my main goal for this is what I want to do, right? But maybe some of you guys hadn't started putting together your list or thinking through your splits. Use this as your template to be like, all right, let me think about where I want to be putting my percentages of Bitcoin, my percentages of top 20 coins, my percentages of small caps, my percentages of top hundreds. Some of you are going to completely take it in different directions, but hopefully this helps you guys kind of think through what you want to do. Let's take a look now and do some Bitcoin TA a little bit this morning. Now, the first thing we're seeing here on the daily chart, we're still seeing the reversals come in, and we're seeing them start to sneak in to the lower time frames as well. You guys know we're watching out for a head and shoulders pattern. It very much looks like when we move down to the 4-hour chart, I'm not saying it's impossible for us to move higher, but this most recent red reversal coming in, the oscillators kind of slowing down their pump. I think we're starting to see a little bit of a round off here that is going to be forming that right shoulder on Bitcoin. Now, I did tell you, let's go back on the daily chart, that my time frame has shifted a little bit. I think there's an outside chance. I think it might be a close one, like a very slim. Okay, let me just fix this. There might be a very slim chance that the monthly chart on Bitcoin for October stays green, but I do think it's going to be a sliver. I think one way or the other, October is going to end with either a sliver of green or a sliver of red. Not going to be surprised if price kind of stays around the $27,000 mark as we're looking at the month of October. I originally was saying that October was going to be our big month, that we're going to see the bottom towards the end of October. But when I'm looking at this from a daily chart perspective, and I'm looking at a head and shoulders pattern, and not that this has to move perfectly symmetrical, but I'm kind of even looking at, all right, let's go back to the big move that started building our left shoulder, then we had our head, and now what a right shoulder would look like. Let's just look at that timeline. This took from the March bottom to form that first neckline, that took about 95 days to build. Well, if I were to move that same timeline and come over here to the next time we did our timeline, our next neckline, 95 days would take us all the way. Let's go. And it doesn't have to be perfectly 95. I'm just going to go with it just because it's the closest area. That's going to put us into early December. So my time range, instead of having a big crash and a bottom at the end of October, now I'm kind of looking at this saying, all right, it looks like it's actually be end of November, early December that we're going to get new dips in Bitcoin's price before the price actually moves back to the upside. And while the 4-year cycle on Bitcoin is more of a 3-year, 11-month cycle, within these patterns, sometimes you see months perform very similarly. And you got to remember, back here in 2019, what was the month and the time of that bottom for the price action before the bull market should have started, other than COVID? Right here, pretty much right there, mid-December. I think we might be seeing a repeat of almost a similar timeline. Look at this, maybe another October. We've had like an early October pump. Then the big dip happens. We get our real bottom mid-December. And then if it was not for COVID, we would have just continued to move side up to the right, but sideways. And the bull market started later on after the halving event, right? I think that we're going to see something similar happen. I still believe the top of the next bull market should be October of 2025, a 3-year, 11-month time period from the last top of the bull market. But we are pushing back this a little bit. There's an outside chance October stays green, but then we get our nice red November, and December is probably where I'm looking at now to say we could bottom out. The question is, again, are we going to be talking about lower than 20,000, coming back down to 19.3, which is what this head and shoulders pattern would predict? Are we talking about that little range, the golden pocket? If you go all the way to the bottom of the bear market, are we talking about the golden pocket visit somewhere here around 21.5? We will have to wait and see what that looks like. Let's continue to monitor the news. I've told you guys before, I've shifted up my plan with how I'm going to be investing in this next dip. More than likely, I'm not going to take all of my dry powder and invest at this point. But when we hit 21.5, I might use a little bit of my dry powder at that level just in case. That will be a little bit of a fake out so that everyone's expecting a sub $20,000 price, but we end up doing just the golden pocket. Of course, again, this would be very similar, would pretty much be the exact same play to back here in 2019 where we did the same thing. We came back down to the golden pocket and then moved to the upside. Of course, again, everyone's going to say, Tim, what about March 2020? We're not talking about March 2020. That's a Black Swan event. You do not take that into consideration when trying to predict. That's the whole purpose of Black Swan events. You cannot predict them. You cannot take them into consideration for price action. That is what I'm seeing here on Bitcoin. Guys, it is 11:32. I told you that the second half of the show would be complete TA. That means we're going to shift over. Let's go to Brocam, T-Shroom. If your questions are about charts, we can do some charts. If your questions are about Israel, we got Piper here. He definitely can give better answers than either T-Shroom or I about that. If you have questions about personal life, we're here to just hang out because guess what? It's a Saturday. And Saturdays are for the bros, and it's for the bros to have some fun. So go ahead and start dropping your Q&A, and I'm going to actually start off while we're waiting for it. I'm going to start off by asking Piper a question, and kind of alluding to this because I know a lot of other people are going to ask the same thing, so I'm just going to get out ahead of you guys. Break down for us, Piper. Some people are aware of the history of war and fighting happening in Israel. Give us a little bit of a breakdown as to what kind of led into this attack last night and what your opinion is about what you're seeing and what this will look like moving forward.
All right, Tim. So, yay, fine, Israel. So, Israel, that actual conflict with the Palestinians in the whole Gaza Strip there, that actually goes back to, I was looking on Chat GPT earlier, 1917 is where it actually goes back to. However, the religious conflict between the two religions over there, that goes back to, Abraham days. So, long time. Yesterday's most recent and very rare call for emergency military action that Israel had, because they haven't done that in I want to say like 20 some years. It's been since they've done one of these call military activations that they did, because they've activated all of their reserves. And what that was Hamas actually infiltrated into Israel. Hamas, for those that don't know, Palestinian Sunni Islamic political group. They're a fundamentalist militant organization over there in the Gaza Strip. And so that is a very long debated land, and there's a lot of conflict between those two. Well, Hamas infiltrated into Israel on land, on motorcycles, also by sea, according to a video that I saw where the Navy had to actually engage some Hamas fighters out there and then kidnap people, were holding people hostage. And then at the same time that they were attacking these neighborhoods throughout Israel, they started a rocket attack, and it was hitting up as high as Tel Aviv and Jerusalem with the rocket attack. So this, not your typical Israeli Hamas conflict. This is a full out like attack. So they have activated all their reservists in Israel, and they are. This is a war. Like they're getting ready to go to a full-fledged war over there. So those that know have been seeing this stuff know what I'm talking about on here. But yeah, this someone said, is this going to have any effect on the markets? I do see a way that this plays into market cost, and I actually talked about it earlier this week on my show about gas prices, because we've only got like, I want to say like 7 days of reserves left in our strategic petroleum reserves. They are waiting to refill those when price gets down, and they had not done it yet. Price had not gotten to the federal buy-in price line that they were going to buy oil to put back into the reserves. And now we are looking at a situation where we may not see it get back down that low, because when there's conflict in Southwest Asia, that's what the Middle East is, for those that don't know. When there is conflict in Southwest Asia, it absolutely plays out in the price of gas. And that is a sad, sad state to say, but we are probably going to be paying more for gas than what we thought going into the winter, when we need those gas prices low. So,
yeah,
it's it's not 17 days, Ada Ace. I know what you're talking about. He said 17 days on that reserve. That 17 days was as of September 28th, bro. If you look at the chart, it'll tell you that. So, it's like 7 now, I believe. So,
yeah. Thank you. I don't really have anything to add to that, but Tim.
What I was going to say was the last one of the things that Piper said there. I think he's right about oil. If you go to my screen here, and I saw some TA picks, we're going to do some. I want Piper to do some of them as well. I don't want this to just be me. But oil, first of all, oil came down. Some of you guys have been watching. I talked about how there was a lot of pressure before this attack that was probably going to send oil back to the upside. But I told you guys, hey, we need to at least drop back down to $84 a barrel to kind of, so when this next bullish push comes in, we've taken some steam out of it. We actually dropped lower. We came all the way down into the $81 barrel zone. So that's good. But when you guys go on the,
I think
the indicators, we're screaming buy right now on oil.
I think the buy-in target for the U.S. to refill their strategic petroleum reserves was $76, I believe.
Don't quote me on that, but I don't think we're going to get it. I mean, look at this. So this is the epitome of a bullish trend. We're still setting higher lows. You don't get a lot of bullish flashes here. Every time they hit, they are very lethal at being good buy calls. We are getting another one as we speak. The MVP oscillator on the daily chart is screaming buy. It gets worse on the 4-hour chart. On the 4-hour chart, these are some of the highest MVP. It's coming out of screen. The MVP histograms are saying that you need to be buying oil right now. So it's good we dropped this low, but this chart's not even taking in perspective everything that Piper just laid out with the reasons why this is going to cause higher oil prices. There's absolutely still a shot that oil is getting over $100 a barrel. Could be part of the reason why we see a bigger dip coming on later in the next month and a half, 2 months or so. But oil chart absolutely showing after a good little dip, it's probably moving to the upside. Let's take a look at some coins. There was one I saw on here. Piper, if you want to prepare, Ada Ace asked me to look at it, but I'd love for you to look at AGIX. Someone was asking for Kaspa, and so I went ahead and started working on some Kaspa TA. Now, Kaspa is moving up, but you guys will see, I went ahead and drew the pattern. This is a rising wedge. This is a bearish pattern, ladies and gentlemen. Usually these break to the downside. And it also makes sense. Look at the bullish momentum waves have slowed down quite considerably. You pull up the indicators here. Yeah, we topped out, got our overbought red reversal triangle, peak seeker, all at the actual peak. And then this most recent lower peak, we got ourselves some bearish divergence. So again, I'm bullish on Kaspa long term, but this is not a good daily chart right here, guys. Kaspa at least should be dropping back down more than likely to around the 4.1 cent region, at least to support the bearish scenario of this. Again, and if Bitcoin has a good little drop. We're going to see Caspa do the same thing. We could see Caspa kind of make its way out of this formation with a pullback down here to some of these lows that we had back here around 1.2 cents. That's pretty significant, pretty harsh fall. So let's not necessarily predict perfectly what's going to happen, but that is what that formation would call for. Let's keep our eyes around 3 cents. Now, 3.2 cents to me is the better place to watch out for. Even if we were to look at Fibonacci levels, let's go down to this bottom right here. Come on, Fibonacci, work with me here. Go down to this little bottom, come up to the top. We're going to see 0.5 is going to be in that region right there on that bottom. Definitely watch that one. Golden pocket around 2.7 cents. To me, that's way more likely than a pullback all the way back down to 1.3 cents. So do with that what you will. Let's even take a look here. It's not a new enough chart here. This is the Caspa USDT on MEXC chart. So I'm not going to get any waves on the daily chart. Let's see what the 4-hour chart gives me and go ahead and get rid of my Fibonacci levels. Definitely been riding the red wave here for a little bit, using the dynamic reactor as support. So that's a positive sign. But I think we're going to end up losing. It's coming back down again, at least down to the 4-cent region, if not a little bit lower than that when we break out of that support level. So that's some quick TA on Caspa. Piper, were you able to look up AGIX?
Of course I was.
Let's do it. Let's go to his screen and look at AGIX.
All right, looking at Singularity Net token here versus Tether on the daily off of KuCoin Exchange, just so you know. What I'm looking at here, we had and this was a previous Fibonacci that I had on here that was coming in for this as the bottom. Now that we've broken that and we have set down to a new low, I went ahead and reset it to there. So this will be coming in from going back 30 May to current. And you can see that we have 236, the 236.236 coming in at 19.8 cents is going to be our resistance currently. I do see that if we continue grinding through here, we could be coming back down to the zero line again to double test that. You see we had it here, went into this little hole pattern here, did a little head and shoulders action, and then back down it went. So what I want to do here is I want to throw on a fixed range volume profile real fast. And we will see what this looks like. There we go. For those that don't know, you can get this if you have a paid subscription with TradingView. But if you don't, you can use something called a VRVP, and it's a visual range volume profile. You can't set a fixed range on it, but anything that you have visual on your screen, it will work for that too. And that is a way for those that have free TradingView. So, I like to educate the viewers on that stuff. So. Yeah, it looks like the value area low here coming in at 17.3 cents is where we're getting a lot of our bounces to the upside at. So we're kind of ranging here. I'm going to throw a T box on here. Shout out to TA Tim on Investing Bros. So I say that all the time when I throw these boxes now. It is a T box. That is my T box range right there. So yeah, I got a little T box range here. Perfect for scalping to the upside downside. It's coming in at again, that's going to be about 19.75 down to a bottom range of about 17.45. So there you go. And you can get that little range bouncing there every time it comes in and out. So won't do you wrong. Looking at the oscillators here, we do have a little bit of a turn up. Not a turnip. That's a food that I don't like eating, but a turn up on the oscillator here bouncing. Looks like we might get a bounce on that zero line to come down even lower. We do have a green candle printing on the Heikin-Ashi daily here, but it's not getting a lot of volume. It's very thin, so this could just be a continuation. Every now and then we get those, and it just goes sideways for a bit and then comes down even lower. So that's what I'm seeing right there on that. Let's go check the other oscillators, and then we'll throw on some chart prime indicators on top. So let's drop that. Let's drop that. And let's drop, no, we can leave that one on. Let's go in here and let's check and see how we're looking on the MVP oscillator. And if it has any green, we're good. Nope, there's no green. So that says, see, like when we have these green here and we start printing all these green candles, look, bottom indicator. We had little ones here, but not in big volume, and it only did it once. Little push up there and a little push up there off of that one bright green. When you get clusters of them, but right now we're grayed out. We have nothing going on there.
Mm-hmm.
There's no love from the MVP. And then let's go and do the money flow. And let's check the money flow index over here on the Trend Fusion oscillator. See if we got any money flow coming in on here. Money flow up above the zero line, but a little flat with a very, very slight curvature to the upside there. Nothing big that I would be writing home about. You can see when money flow had an upturn here, we actually came up here kind of flat. So this could continue sideways in that T box that I was just showing you. And what is the last thing I want to see here? We do have a breakout here on the Chart Prime falling wedge pattern here. We did almost hit that, but hitting that 236 cut us out from that measured move. But if we do come back up to there, look for a little wick out to close out that targeted movement there, which would be at 20 cents. Nice psychological number for downside, and would not be surprised to see that. We're still sitting beneath the dynamic reactor, beneath the red trend assist, and that is a bearish thing on its own accord. So I can do one more thing. There we go. There you go. That yellow line right there, that is the 100-week moving average, and we are below it as support, as resistance also. So not looking good on AGIX, Tim.
Yeah, no, there's a couple of coins that kind of look like that that I'm noticing. One of the ones people are asking for, and we'll do some more of it, Cardano. We did this yesterday, but we're gonna kind of do some refresher on the, you go back to my screen, guys. Cardano, two different formations, bullish one of them, bearish the other. I still think it's just gonna take us down to about 18 cents, give or take. I must have fixed range volume profile right there. Falling wedge pattern, guys, on Cardano. And yesterday we were kind of sitting here talking about, hey, potentially do we get a push through? Do we break through? Well, no, this morning, 4-hour chart absolutely showing us rejection right there. Bearish divergence came in here. It does look like probably on longer time frames we're going to be moving to the downside here on Cardano. Got that nice overbought flash right in on that spot. So watch out again, guys. Is next little bit. It's going to take some time. We could again see this not even happen until end of November, maybe early December. But 18 cents on Cardano, very much looking like that. Watch this flat level as well. I'm not predicting a full blown breakout. This guys, descending triangles again. Formations on altcoins sometimes are not the most reliable breakout predictions. This would be a predictor of about 1 cent for Cardano. Not expecting that to happen, but I do expect the price to break below this red line and get stuck there a little bit, maybe making its way towards the 18-cent zone, and then pretty much then we have our big breakout on Cardano. But similar stuff to what you were just seeing, and it's I don't want to do too much repeat TA of what Piper just did. It's a very similar thing. There's a couple different coins. There were some other ones. I can't remember what the other ones were. But, yeah, kind of getting to a place where we're going to start breaking below, setting some new lows here in the bear market. And, again, bull market will come. Momentum will come. Volume will come. But right now, Cardano is not a coin, ladies and gentlemen, that I would be buying right now at this level, especially today. I think lower prices are definitely coming over the next little bit. Someone said something about Bitcoin. I want to go back to this one, looking at lower time frames. Guys, I would be heavily – was I still on marker? Oh, there we go. I was still on marker. I would be heavily critical of the opinion that this is a bull pennant. I see some people talking about a bull pennant happening here. This is not a bull pennant, guys, because that would kind of suggest that this is the flagpole. This movement after we bottomed out yesterday was simply removing all of the losses from the immediate fear of the job reports. This is not a bull pennant. And so what I'm really seeing here is more of a rounding off. Maybe you call it in the shorter time frame a Bart Simpson style formation here on Bitcoin, not a pennant. Again, we talked about it earlier. We're seeing more bearish things happening. Yes, we haven't lost that mid-level on the 1-hour chart, but bearish divergence here on the 1 hour for Bitcoin. You move up to the 4-hour. I talked about this earlier. We're overextended. Most recently got that bearish reversal signal. I don't see this as a bull pennant whatsoever. I think that this is just kind of a one more bounce up shake before a bigger dip comes down. Now, I don't think we're going to explode. Like, it's not like we're going to lose this red line and all of a sudden start losing 25,000. I told you guys, I'm kind of moving that process to a little bit later on in late November, early December. But what we're seeing happen right now is more of a rounding of that right shoulder that's going to give us that head and shoulders pattern. And again, then we start to now analyze what that looks like. That's going to be a question that is on everyone's mind. Do we lose 20,000? Do we only break? I know T Shroom, you were talking about the other day. Someone was talking heavily about 23,000 being the level a lot of people think we'll stop at. I'm kind of now floating that boat of that golden pocket around 21.5. It's going to be interesting next couple of weeks to watch as Bitcoin moves. And it's also be interesting to watch sentiment and how people respond to FUD and FOMO articles. But at the end of the day, guys, this is just part of the process. If there's anything we can leave you with on this stream other than, start thinking about your portfolio, because the time is coming. Guys, the time is coming very, very strong. If I were to go out to Bitcoin's chart, over a longer time period, this is the part of the market where it's going to try. They're going to try your hardest to get you out, but we're not going to be setting new lows, not in my opinion. We're going to eventually bottom here, start moving and preparing for a bull market. This didn't just happen then. It happened. This is a time where we actually did double bottom back in 2015. But it's a very different market. Either way, it was one more pullback, scaring everybody, thinking new lows are coming before the real bull market would take off later on that year, early on in 2016. This is the part of the cycle, that 4-year cycle. There will be a dip. Price will go down. They're going to try to freak you out, but price is going to move in a sideways, more upward fashion, waiting on that halving cycle, and then we're going to start to get kind of nice and explosive moving into the 2025 bull market. So that is the TA we have for you guys today. It is 11:51. We're going to answer a couple more questions. We might even talk about some college football. Piper, in your state, there is a huge game happening today between the good old Texas Longhorns and the Oklahoma Sooners. While I'm waiting for another question here in chat, do you have an opinion on the game? You watch that game? Do you have a thought on who's going to win?
I don't watch much football, Tim. I'm a gamer.
He's a gamer. You're in Texas, though. You're in Texas. You have to watch football if you're in Texas.
Not if you have video games.
When my dad was home, we would, hang out every now and then and watch a game together. He's a big Roll Tide fan, so I'd go and sit with him. But I haven't really done it much this year. So,
gotcha.
Watching a bunch of full-grown men get on a battlefield and compete against each other for dominance. I pretty much did that for 22 years in the real game. So
there's so many parallels between football and war, and the Army specifically.
Yeah,
it's very interesting. It's very interesting. I'll say that. But I mean, rugby's been around for a long time too, so it's not like whatever. But football. Who the Gators playing today?
Who are the Gators playing today?
I was
really disappointed with them. Very disappointed with them last week. Kentucky's a good team. And listen, Kentucky's going to give Georgia a little run for their money today. But Florida looked embarrassing. Very embarrassing. Let me see. SEC. Let's get down here. Everyone, I know Crypto Sec guy's going to say, Tim, why don't you know this? You're a Gator fan. Well, Gators are number 2. Okies are number 1. We're in for a rough day today. Florida's playing Vanderbilt. So if Florida loses today, that's going to be pretty bad.
Could be a good game.
Eric Wallen said all the butt slapping.
I feel like the Gators are like Vanderbilt it would be a close game. Like we're about as good as Vanderbilt usually is. If Vanderbilt's a stable coin, the Gators are in a bear market kind of ready to.
I love the confident take, T-Shroom. I would very, very emphatically disagree with you. I think you underestimate how bad Vandy is as a program.
Well, that's true. I don't know
how bad they are the bottom of the SEC.
Right, but aren't they consistent?
Easily.
Aren't they pretty consistently that bad though?
Consistently terrible. Yeah, they had like 2 good years here a couple years ago, but Matt C says, Tim, can you give us some TA on the First of all, I take offense to whenever people say Va Tech. That's the worst. It's either VT, Virginia Tech.
Oh, they're playing FSU today?
They're playing FSU. Yeah,
that could be a good game.
It could be, and here's why. Because we're not that
FSU
good.
Fan.
We're not that good. and Florida State had a bye and they had to fix some things, but they struggled with Boston College, who sucks. We could catch Florida State in a little bit of a sleepy game. Who does Florida State have up on their schedule next? I have to go back top 25. Yeah, so this one, I do think it's gonna be interesting to see if we can cover the spread. The spread is 24 points. We're going to see what kind of Virginia Tech comes out here. 24 points is a lot of points, but Florida State, we could catch them sneaking. Yeah, they play Syracuse next week, which Syracuse did lose to Clemson last week, but Syracuse is a pretty good team. So, and then after that, they're looking to Duke, and Duke beat Clemson, should have beaten Notre Dame. I don't know how they allowed a 4th and 16 conversion. The point is, I think Florida State's going to win. I think Florida State is going to win. I think we're going to move into our predictions here for college football. But yeah, Matt, see, I think there's a chance we cover. Let's take a look here. Go to my screen. Let's run through the top games of the day, the top 25 teams. Oklahoma versus Texas. Texas is a 4-point favorite. Ooh. Remington Peralt, let's talk crypto, not VTech. Well, we're gonna wrap up. Remington Peralt, if you have a question about crypto, we'll answer that on the way out. But we are wrapping up the show. I'm going to go with Texas on this one. Oklahoma's a good team. This is going to be a good game, but I think Texas wins and covers the spread. Ohio State will beat Maryland. Maryland's a sneaky good team. I think Maryland covers the spread. Ohio State has not been beating people convincingly whatsoever. Remington Peralt, Vatek. Okay, there we go. Thank you for that, Remington Peralt. Love ya. Just trying to hurt my feelings. But Ohio State will win. Maryland covers the spread. LSU, Missouri. LSU. I'm surprised. Missouri's 5-0, but LSU's going to win that game. They're going to have a bounce back game. They're going to win. All right, Matt C, going to break your heart. Washington State is a good football team. They're going to beat UCLA. I'm sorry, Matt C. That'll break your heart. Florida State wins over Virginia Tech. I think we cover the spread. Bama, Texas A&M. This has been a good game in years past. I do think Bama is the more disciplined team, though. Alabama gets the win. North Carolina beats Syracuse. Here we go, guys. 14-point favorites over Kentucky. I'm going with the upset. Georgia's been sloppy. It's going to bite them in the butt finally. Kentucky wins over Georgia.
Wow.
Absolutely covering the spread, but also winning the game. So
Kentucky toasted the Gators last week.
They did. And Gators are not a bad team. That's why I disagree with you. They're not as bad as Vandy. The Gators are a decent football team. They were sloppy against Utah, but beat Tennessee, and Tennessee's a good team. I think Kentucky's legitimately a contender for the playoffs. Let's see what they look like against Georgia, though. Michigan beats Minnesota. Ole Miss beats Arkansas. Notre Dame will beat Louisville. Louisville 5-0 because they haven't played really that tough of a schedule. Notre Dame is a very good football team. They'll win that game. Miami beats Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech's terrible. Fresno State beats – Wyoming's good, though, too. Fresno State will win, but Wyoming will put up a fight, maybe cover that spread. Oregon State will beat California, and USC will beat Arizona. That is our picks. Let's see. Remington Peralt, did you hear his take? Let's see.
He's talking about Forrest's take on the scarcity of Bitcoin, about that ETFs and mining companies and all of that actually creates less scarcity in Bitcoin because you have exposure to it, and it's money that's not going into Bitcoin but still exposed to Bitcoin, which therefore creates a virtual lack of scarcity. Yeah,
he's talking about futures. Yeah. Well, yeah, futures will absolutely wreck people or make people. That's going to be a thing that futures is always interesting. But the reason why I still would make the argument that Bitcoin is going to be better than others with its scarcity is it has better scarcity than other commodities that have futures programs like gold and others. So, but Forrest makes a good point that you actually open up. You open up a big world with futures contracts to be able to trade Bitcoin that doesn't even exist.
Well, it wasn't just Forest contract. It wasn't just futures contracts. It was also like mining companies and stuff like that. Because the mindset is there's only 21 million. The time's going to come that if you want Bitcoin, no one's going to have it. Let it go, and you're not going to be able to get it. So the price is going to be astronomical, and that's not true. I can always get exposure to Bitcoin without ever touching Bitcoin through mining companies and all kinds of stuff. So but those mining company stocks, exposure to Bitcoin.
That this is the first time I'm really hearing of this. I mean, obviously there's been just kind of like the logic behind this argument has always existed, but I think it's pretty wrong because when you're investing in Bitcoin, you're investing in way more certainty. There's a lot less points of failure with like a mining company. Like their all their energy could go out. They could make some kind of critical mistake, and all of a sudden their costs are just demolishing their profits, right? So and the same thing with the futures contracts. Like you have a lot of regulator risk there. So the CFTC could decide tomorrow, its futures are done for crypto for one reason or another. There could be some kind of capture. Whereas Bitcoin it's on the blockchain.
Absolutely, but it still creates other on-ramps that are not in Bitcoin, but still touching the avenue of Bitcoin. So,
T-Shroom, you can go back to Brocam now.
That was his point.
And here's the thing: Forrest from Sin City.
No, Forrest from Forrest. What's his name? Forrest. He has his own.
I associate him with Sin City. He's like a guest on there.
Yeah, he goes on. He goes on people's channel. We need to get Forrest to come on Investing Bros here soon. Yeah. I like Forrest.
I like him. I want to get a better understanding of what he means. I mean, obviously, whenever there's any kind of paper in a market, you're going to have some dilution, and it's going to affect the price. But the thing about it is, there's still underlying value. Like what Warren Buffett says, which I think could probably be the final word in this conversation. I'm not saying it is, but
no, this is it. No one speaks after this. T-Shirt gets the final take.
Is that markets are a casino in the short term, but they're a scale in the long term. So like the paper, all that paper is doing is just a way for it's a way for capitalists, for hedge funds to make more money. That's all it is. It's to bet against each other, and some people are smarter in that market, and some people are losers in that market. Yeah. But the underlying asset is still there. It doesn't affect the scarcity of Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. I don't see the argument of that, but it can absolutely have a price in the short, an effect on price in the short term. But even something like gold, like I think people underestimate the reckoning. Like they think that just because something is the way it is now, that it always is going to be like that. It's like, well, the U.S. government is powerful, and there seems to be like a kind of a coordinated effort with the banking industry to suppress the price of gold. But that's only going to last so long. It might last another 500 years, but unless we discover a huge deposit of gold that affects the actual supply of gold, the value of gold never changed to humanity as a whole, to the market as a whole. It was just suppressed by this temporary force.
Ultimately, you know what futures is, T-Shroom? Futures is just betting on price action. Here's all you need to know about us as human beings. Did you guys see there's a token that came out, but the token was all about online snail racing bets. So like we bet each other and we gamble on snail races.
Right.
We as humans will just gamble on anything. We will bet on anything. And the futures ETFs, you're right. Like on paper, it will have nothing to do with scarcity whatsoever, but it will bring attention in ways in the way people can make money off of Bitcoin or lose money off of Bitcoin that has nothing to do with Bitcoin's supply or not. But when people are losing money in masses, it can have effect on the Bitcoin price. Absolutely. And that's what I think Forrest's argument is here, is that the argument of Bitcoin scarcity, while technically it is a scarce product, futures and the betting of what Bitcoin price is going to do is going to impact the price in the same way a lack of scarcity could impact the price of Bitcoin. So it's a complicated and deep thought that I think Forrest is onto something, but I also agree with you, T-Shroom, that there's a long amount of time that we have to kind of watch how this is going to react. Also, I do believe Bitcoin is going to be very influential in helping people rethink how we use money around the world, because if you ever study people like the Keynesian economists versus the what's the other phrase? Keynesian versus
libertarian.
No. Piper, do you remember what's the other one?
Classical. I mean, there's not really like a.
They're from the guy. Okay, the quote from Bitcoin Standard is
Friedman.
No, it's like on the tip of my tongue, but I cannot say what it is. It's Keynesian economics, which is pretty much print money, keep inflating the money to get it out there so people can spend it and it circulates. Versus,
there's not I don't think there's a unified.
There is.
Name.
Now I'm gonna have to freaking look it up.
Well, you have the Austrian School of Economics.
There we go. Austrian School of Economics. Yeah. So the Austrian School of Thought versus the Keynesian School of Thought. That's what I'm pitting against each other. Yeah. Bitcoin is the epitome of the Austrian School of Thought when it comes to money. 100%. Gold was in that realm as well, but we went away from it. Keynesian economists heavily believe in a currency that is manipulatable and inflatable for the sake of continuing to keep money moving in the economy, but it's a broken. I understand, actually, if you ever read about Keynesian economics, it's stupid, but there's moments that you're like, oh, that kind of makes sense. Oh, I understand that a little bit, but it's the same thing as, like, here's what I would say, and people, please don't grill me on this, and you're going to as I say that. In theory, socialism is not the worst thing in the world. The problem is man's human nature. We are not a people that can run socialism in an effective way. But the idea of sharing and helping and caring and splitting it, that's a beautiful thing that I believe is what heaven will look like. I do believe in like that's what God envisions for his people, is to care for one another in a way that you don't think about yourself, you think about others. But humans cannot do that on a governmental, political standpoint. We suck at it. We have to stay in a place where we are a democracy that also encompasses capitalism. We have to use capitalism. It's just what we have to have.
Heaven is not just to be clear, heaven is not socialistic. It's a kingdom. So
it's a kingdom that it has a socialistic tendency.
So Keynesian economics makes a ton of sense if you believe in the following principle, which is that there should be a force outside of the market that has a say on price. And that is ultimately what Keynesian economics is.
Keynesian economics would work if the people at the top weren't so evil and corruptible and wanted to steal all the power. Keynesian economics allows the people of power to maintain power and control and wealth, because they're the ones who dictate when the money gets printed and when it doesn't. So when it's good for them to print, they will. When it's bad for them to print, they won't. They get to have control no matter what. That's the problem with Keynesian economics.
Yeah. I mean, Keynesian economics, I think we can go on for a while, but
we could. Guys, it is 12:06. We're going to go and wrap it out. Piper, thank you so much for joining us today. It was always a pleasure to have you. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the Piper Academy. T-shirt, let's make sure we get the Piper Academy into the description for the video, even if it's after here. But with that said, guys, it is Saturday. Go have a great weekend. If you love football, watch football. If you love games, watch games. If you love smoking a cigar, be healthy. The rest of you guys, we will see you Monday morning for our news update. With that said, though, have a great weekend, everybody.
Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots that bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros. Army pipe, lethal on trade. Entries and exits, worthy of praise. Tim, the professor of the TA. Shouted out loud on the PA. T-Shrooms News got the word. Doing better than what he deserves. Beamer, leave no evidence. Soon fly coop with his dividend. Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots that bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros.